Next up, we have the master of the model, instructor extraordinaire, and here to teach us how to use the model with flair, welcome Bev Aron!
I have to tell you, every mastermind, I think back to the first one. Brooke rented a house in Tahoe. It was a sleepover of 12 people. We slept on the beds and the sofas and the floors. There was mastermind. We played Pictionary and Taboo. She doesn't even remember. That's the best part. Every mastermind I tell her, but Brooke's like in the future, right? And me and Deb are like, do you remember the first one? Sorry. So, thank you for being here. And thank you, Brooke, for creating this for me. It's my favorite thought about being a contractor for the Life Coach School. I sit at home, and Brooke and her team deliver my ideal people to me. Best. I have a favorite C about being a contractor for the Life Coach School, which I might share with you at the end if you remind me. See what I did there? Now you have to stay till the end. All right, let's pretend we're sitting across from each other in Zoom. We're having a coaching session, and I say, today, we're going to create an ice cream together. You're like, wow, it's better than last week when she told me it was my fault for the whole hour. So I'm like, okay, you want a cup or you want a cone? Whatever you want, you tell me. Like, I want a cone. No worries. What flavor do you want to put on? What's the bottom? Rocky Road. Got it. Next flavor, vanilla chocolate chip. Done. You want another flavor? Strawberry. Tell me everything. What do you want to put on top of it? Tell me all the things. I want a cherry. You got the cherry. And I tell you about your ice cream. You got beautiful cone, got chocolate chip, we got Rocky Road, strawberry and a cherry. And you're like reaching through your Zoom monitor for the ice cream. And I throw it away and I say, now we're making cupcakes. You know where I'm going with this, right? Like, what? I wanted to taste my ice cream. I wanted to digest it. I wanted to savor it. I wanted to explore it a little bit and examine it. Where is my ice cream? You might stop laughing when I tell you that's what we do, right? We do a model with a client, we're so careful. We do the C line, the T, make sure the F is only one word. We get the model, we read it to them. That's your C and that's your T, and do you see that's your R? And then we're like, now we're gonna make a cupcake and a rainbow and a daisy. They're like, where's my model? I want to examine this model. This, I think, might be the secret to the universe. I'm not ready for cupcakes. So here's what I think happens. We teach you your one and only job is to show your client their mind. And then we teach you, you must do models. And sometimes these two things are not clear how they go together. So welcome to Model 201, where we learn how to use the model to show our clients their mind. That's what it looks like. Doesn't exactly look like they're eating an ice cream. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a few things that we didn't teach you in Model 101 on purpose. And I'm also going to share a few tips I've picked up along the way, because since last Mastermind, I've had the privilege of training over 200 coaches through our online coach training program. And the amazing thing is, I would start my classes on Tuesday and I would teach until Sunday. And during that time, I'm getting asked questions, right? Similar questions, and I'm refining my answer. And at the same time, I'm coaching my own clients. So I'm watching myself. How do I do that thing that feels like such a mystery to them? And I'm watching Brooke coach and scholars. How does she do that thing? And so by the time Sunday comes, I figured out how to make coaching easy. Because the main thought I want to give my students when they leave me is, coaching is easy. Because I can definitely put myself in other people's models, right? So I'm going to share a few of those tips along the way as well. We'll just go through each line of the model. Okay. For every circumstance, we have lots and lots of thoughts, right? So what I want to offer you is, the bigger the circumstance that you put in the C line, the more thoughts your client has. And the more likely your model is going to be a little muddled. Because by the time you put that C, then you put that one T, then you get to the F, they've had like 1,000 thoughts. If you put something like work, or my boss, or me, the model's very general, and all of those thoughts are floating around your model, which makes coaching not so easy. So here's what I want to offer you with the C. Get as specific as you can. These are not hard and fast rules I'm offering you. They're just tips to make coaching really easy, because when it's very simple and easy, we do an amazing job. So whatever the client gives you, narrow it down, narrow it down, narrow it down. Get it to that specific, teeny tiny moment in time. And I want to share with you, actually, a definition of the C that one of my current students, Les McLean, offered me. She's not here this year, but she will be here next year. She said, so the C is when there's no more questions to be asked. And I was like, oh, yes. You say boss, there's lots of questions to be asked. If you put down, my boss sent me an email today that said this about their project, that's a C. That's going to be easy for you to show your client their mind and what they're creating about that moment. And then you can take it broader. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to you'll have 2 minutes, just take a partner, and we'll start to construct the model. They're going to tell you whatever their problem is. You're going to pick that very specific C. Now listen, make the C about the problem they paid you to solve. Have you ever seen kind of coaching or had the kind of coaching, you're like, my mother-in-law, she's the problem. The coach is, oh, tell me the last time the mother-in-law was the problem. You're like, she invited everyone for Christmas dinner. And then I never got any time to be with my family, and I never see my kids. And then suddenly the model's all about not seeing my kids and Christmas dinner. You're like, I just paid her $1,000 to coach me and my mother-in-law. So make sure it's the problem they bring you, not just the problem that your brain goes, oh, I can do a model on that problem. I did one last week. Even when it's on that, make it what they think is the problem. Last week in one of our practicums, a woman brought up that she's on this group chat with a bunch of people who she loves, and somebody was talking about how it's so hard to do no sugar, no flour. It's just her buddies. So she coached them a little bit, right? And then suddenly it went radio silent because everyone was agreeing. She offered them that it's not a problem. So the model that was done was see as group chat. It's very hard to show your client their mind until you can find what they think is the problem with the group chat. So get it specific. Radio silence after I coached on group chat. All right, you have 2 minutes. Go. Can we put the timer up? Be great. All righty. Let's talk about thoughts. Here is the truth. Coaches, there are better thoughts to put in the model. Not every road leads to Rome. Well, it may lead to Rome, but it might take you a very long time. Because you know why? Some thoughts lead to dead-end models. You know which ones I'm talking about? I don't know. I don't know. F-A-R. I still don't know. You're like, you see, client, how you're creating that I don't know with your thought? And they're like, I told you I don't know at the beginning of the session. I knew life coaching was a scam and a cult. right? Or, I'm not worthy. Oh, that's a deep one. TFAR. I still don't believe I'm worthy. It's like nowhere to go, right? There's no meat on it. So, I'm going to show you how to pick some thoughts that lead to models with some meat and some juice and some impact that you get to show your client what they are creating with their mind. It's actually very simple once you get in the practice of it and you ask it of yourself. As your client's talking, right, offering you thoughts, you had to learn how to do the model by just grabbing one, any thought. And every single thought, for sure, leads to insights that will change your clients' lives. Now that you have the art of it, Model 201, start to listen to your client and also anticipate. What will the result be of this thought, and this thought, and this thought? And what will I be able to teach them from this thought, and this thought, and that thought? And pick the one that gives you the most material to show your client what they're creating, the result line, and to show them where their thinking is mistaken. So for example, the I don't know, a bit of a dead end. But let's say you get a bit more information and you're like examining every thought, and then they say, well, I've never done this before. Now we have some material we can teach about past versus future focus. We can talk about being willing to fail. We've got some stuff to work with, right? So you could pick that one. Okay, go ahead. 2 minutes. Pick a thought, 1 minute, and then switch another minute. You know how we told you a thought is a sentence in your mind? Looks like staring me, she's like, I want you to change it to a phrase in your mind. Remember yesterday when we had to give our one thesis statement? Brooke's like, no ands and buts and commas. When you put this long run on T, it means you've got 2, 3, or 4, or 5 thoughts in your model. Now, how are you going to find the feeling, and what result are you going to show them? So, a phrase. And also, don't put circumstances in your T line. You know those ones client goes, I overate last night. You're like, what are you thinking about that? She's like, I broke my protocol. You put that in the T line, there's like no meat, right? It's a C. You broke your protocol, put that in the C line and then get the thought about it. And then one more. Sometimes the client will give us a thought that has a feeling in it. You can put that in the F line, in the T line if you want to, but then you need to get a different feeling. Don't have a model where your thought and your feeling are the same. It's like nowhere to go with it. All right, now go. 2 minutes. A tiny narrow C defined. We have a thought that's a phrase where we already know what we're going to be able to teach the client. I don't have much to say about the feeding line. I think Rachel did it all for us, other than to say the F line is the line where you're most likely to get a mixed model. So always be watching out for it. And that's because, as we said in the beginning, for every C, we have so many thoughts. So by the time you get the feeling, just make sure that your feeling is the feeling that comes from the thought that you wrote down. The other thing I just want to offer you, I don't think this is a good time to ask your client to describe the feeling. It's an awesome exercise, but when you're doing the model, I think coaching is easiest when we just do single lane coaching. We do one thing, we're doing the model. Otherwise, you're juggling the model and you're juggling the now feeling worksheet, and things can start to get a little muddled, and then you lose focus. And then you don't know what to do, and then you start building cupcakes when you're supposed to be doing models. So keep your model not mixed, whatever the opposite is. And we'll do feelings and actions same time, because I think the feeling will be fairly simple. Let us talk about the A line. I think everyone just glosses over the A line. we think thoughts are sexy and we think feelings are sexy. And Rachel definitely demonstrated how sexy feelings can be this morning. But do you know what? Ask Cara. Sex goes in the A-line. The A-line is sexy, and here is why. I just got this a few months ago. Maybe you guys all know this already, and if so, I apologize. Actions tell us what the results are. You don't need to guess. You don't have to make it up from the T. You just keep asking for actions until the result reveals itself. I swear it's magic. So very often we get one action. We're like, what do you do? They're like, buffer. We're like, okay, so your result is you proving to yourself you don't know how to do it. We're like, where does that come from, right? We're like, my coach told me I could say, prove to yourself the T, and then it's going to be a beautiful model. Keep asking like leading questions, right? You can start off quite broad. So when you feel this and this T and this C, what do you do? They'll give you some actions. Don't accept sophisticated coachy actions like I buffer or I procrastinate. Get the down and dirty. What do you do? What does that look like? What does that mean? And then if they say, well, I don't do inaction, what do you do instead? How do you talk about this thing to other people? So I'll give you an example. Somebody says, my boss is judgy, right? So we know in our minds, probably, from what we know, it's going to be she's judgy. We get the feeling, we get the action. What do? No, you know what? I do my work. I do the best I can. I try to stay out of her business. Very lofty, right? I got no R here. And then you say, so how do you talk about her to your colleagues in the lunchroom? Like, no, everyone agrees. She's totally judgy, right? And sometimes when it's a coach you're coaching, they see themselves walking into the trap. And they get it and they're like, oh, no, I can't get out now. So spend just keep getting actions. Just ask creatively. It's so fun. You can be so inquisitive until the R line reveals itself. Here's what I want to tell you in Model 201 about the R. The R does matter. We kind of had to tell you it didn't matter because you all so freaked out about it that you weren't doing models. But the result is the reason we do the model, right? The result is how we show our client their mind. Hey, look what you're creating in your life when you allow yourself to think this thought. So what I want to encourage you to do is be courageous with your R line. An R line like, so I prove to myself that she's judgy, or I create evidence for the fact that I don't know what to do. This is not a good placement for me, sorry. I create evidence that I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, yep, I told you she was judgy, and now you tell me I'm proving she's judgy. All right. But when you can offer a result like, you're judgy, then the client gets to stop and go, that's what I'm doing with my mind? So I want to encourage you guys now, get enough A's until they've led themselves into the trap. And then I want the R to be, you create this experience. Even if it's a dead-end model like I don't know, instead of the result being I don't know, let it be I don't find out how. I never put myself in a position where I might know. So you know what that requires you to do? It requires you to be quite courageous. Because sometimes your clients are not going to love the ice cream you give them. And they will for sure object and give you more evidence and show you why and how that's not true and no, but this is the case. So don't ask them if they agree. I see coaches go, do you see how that's happening? No, they don't see it. If they saw it, they wouldn't have paid you a lot of money to show them. And even when you show them, who wants to see that they're the problem? We do, because we're life coaches. Most of our clients don't, so they're going to kind of argue. So you want to come in like you got to be courageous and strong. You got to be ready to paint the picture for them, to show them, to convince them, to provide them with all the actions you just got, the evidence for how they're creating it for themselves. The other reason I have that there is you must be willing to do the heavy lifting when it comes to the R line. You can ask your client what their result is. It's fine. Most of the time, the result will be about someone else, right? He keeps yelling at me. We never go out. Nothing changes. You need to be ready to give the client the R line that starts with I. I create whatever they're creating. So let's do that. I will give you 2 minutes. You might not get to switch, but it's okay. Just practice out. Get as many actions as you need until you get the high impact R that if you drop that weight on them, it would hit them like bam. So, you've done your model. We agreed, yeah? Come back to me. Come back to me. We all agreed that just reading the model to the client does not show them their mind, yes? The purpose of the model is to enable you to paint a very clear, vivid, and bright picture for your client of how they are creating their life experience with their mind. Reading it is like reading the table of contents of a book, right? They're like, okay, fine. So here's one analogy that I came up with to help my students for how to use the model to show their client their mind. I'm going to share it with you guys. Total take it or leave it situation. Okay, I want you to imagine the model is an elevator. The T is the lobby. C's in the basement. No one can see it. And what you do is you take your client up and down. Patient thinks the C is the lobby. They think the C is like where it's all happening. You take them up and down between the C and the T to show them that they think the C is the problem. It's always the T. So someone give me a model. Who's got a model that they just did? Okay, yes. Do it. Tell me. I can't hear you. Someone needs a mic. Who has a model? Come on already.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, so my C is I have a goal to replace my base salary of $154,000 as a coach by July 2020.
All right. What's your T?
My thought is I'll have to change everything.
Okay. What's your F?
Dread.
Awesome. What are your A's? Do not say buffer or procrastinate.
Oh, we got lots.
Oh, there's a lot.
Tell us.
I'm not billing enough at work. I'm not
Okay.
making quality offers. I'm creating a lot of content, but not creating clients.
Okay. That's an R, but okay.
You guys put the bottle up, please.
Oh, thank you, Brooke. Okay. You don't offer.
I consider a bunch of other programs.
Research, yeah?
Oh, yeah, lots
We
of
love
research.
research. Okay. Good enough. What's your result?
I have not even begun to replace my income. Yeah,
I change nothing.
I changed nothing. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Alrighty, so here we go. I want to change the color on this. I know there was a way. You know the way? Too late? Oh, no worries. Okay, no, but I want to do it now for what I'm drawing now. Yeah? Stop. Thank you. Alrighty, client. We're in the elevator, right? We're going up and down, up and down, up and down. You think The reason you feel dread is because you have this goal to replace your 150K income by July 20. And you think that the dread is causing you to pretty much do nothing to replace your income, other than research and create content, but no clients. But the reason that you're feeling dread is because you're thinking, I'll have to change everything. There are many people who have this kind of goal who go, done. And then they think, they feel proud in advance. They go out and do it.
Yeah,
So
fuck
the
those
goal,
people. Just saying.
those people, the goal of 150 does not create dread at all. The goal of 150 cannot create no change. The only reason that you're not changing anything in your business and working life is that you've decided that making 150K by July means you have to change everything, which is a dreadful feeling, which creates a feeling of dread to you, and that's why you're not doing anything, you're not going to change anything. So it's basically you just like repeat what the client said to you. Client gave you 5 lines. I swear you just go up and down, up and down, up and down. Always you think this is the problem, this is the problem. And the client's like, oh wow, that's awesome. So I think watching Brooke Coach and Scholars, she does something very similar to this. You guys will see. And you can see it actually like, it's so easy, right? You don't have to you keep yourself entirely out of it. All you're doing is showing the client their mind with the model, and then you stop talking. So this is the point where you're going to want to make cupcakes with them. It's not the time. You have to just stop, let them process it, let them bring up all their objections. The minute they start talking, you know where to go. You don't have to have that awkward moment, I don't know what to do, I better make a cupcake or a rainbow or a daisy. You just let the client tell you where to go next. Coaching is a job where you literally don't have to have any answers and you get paid. Client tells you what their objection is or what their worry is or what they agree with or what's coming up, and if they don't say anything, you're allowed to ask what's coming up for you. And then stop talking. That's Model 201, my friends. Number 1, all roads don't need to roam very quickly. Number 2, the R line does matter. And number 3, let the client tell you where to go next. Do you love this girl or what? That's why I put her up twice. Have to give a shout out to Kate Butler, who did all the illustrations. She might be Mark's wife. I love working with life coaches. I sent her a rough audio of my talk, and this is what I got. And then I had one idea. I was like, what if we show it like this? And she's like, you tell me what you want to convey. I'll decide how it's going to look. And I just love them. 2 minutes for questions. Oh, my C. Okay. Listen carefully, guys. I wanted to tell you this yesterday, and I didn't. And so when I woke up, I decided I could tell you today. There is a C of working for the Life Coach School, which is important if you're thinking of doing it, but you think you're going to be setting out on your dollar goal. No expenses. My accountant called me before he was submitting my taxes. He's like, I'm about to submit your taxes. I just want to make sure you don't have another account that you put all your expenses through. I'm like, Zoom, Mike, $20 a month. So when you get paid $330,000 by the Life Coach School as a contractor, you have no expenses. That's what I got. You got more time for questions.
Can you hear me?
Any questions? Yes.
Can you hear me? Is this going? Okay. Can you speak briefly to how you deal with clients who are very stuck in their thought that does not match their feeling? You'll say, I don't think that when you have a thought that I'm terrified this isn't going to go forward, or I don't think it's going to go forward, or I'm not going to get where I want to be.
Yes.
And then they maybe say, well, that makes me feel exhilarated, or not exhilarated, but challenged, or something like that. And then you're like, well, I don't see where those go together necessarily. And they're like, no, that's what I'm feeling.
I would just give it to them. I think it's worth questioning, but of course thoughts create different feelings for all of us. So if it seems to go, and then the actions, right, you've already anticipated what the R will be. So the actions seem to kind of match, lead them into that trap of the R of what they're creating, do it. Otherwise, you could just say, sometimes we have a thought, and we have another thought straight after that creates the feeling of exhilarated. What might that be?
Fair enough. Thank you.
Pleasure. One. Yes.
You touched on this a little bit, but when we gloss over the A, I know in my own practice, sometimes it's because I'll ask someone, okay, when you're feeling resentful,
Yes.
what do you do?
Yes.
And of course, not of course, but often the client's like, oh, I don't do anything. Right. He's the one causing, all of that. And you mentioned saying, how, basically asking the question in other ways.
Yes,
and sometimes I get stuck on that a little bit.
What do you do instead? They're like, oh no, I don't react. What do you do instead? Oh, I spin.
Okay.
And another one for that is, how do you talk to about that person to your husband when you come home?
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me the other day that you don't believe anything clients say.
Oh, yes. Okay. I tell my students, don't believe anything your clients say. So I just want to tell you, I don't mean think your clients are liars at all. I just mean be very skeptical of everything they tell you. When they tell you it's a fact, just question it a little bit. So many times in CCP, we've had a situation where somebody will go, I'm trying to think, like, all day. He's just at me all day. Oh, we had one last week. I'm my boss's punching bag. What does that mean? Every time something goes wrong, he sends me an email and blames me for all the projects. So we're all building up a picture in our mind, constant emails, right? If we believed her. We didn't believe her. How many emails did you get yesterday? He was actually away yesterday. I didn't get any. Awesome. How many did you get last week? 2. Now, of course, emails all day, every day, like let's say if she'd said 100 or 2, we know it's neutral, but how much awareness is your client already getting? They start to giggle, they start to be a bit embarrassed, and then we get to teach them, look at the drama you're creating in your brain. Because you think I'm the punching bag, so all you notice are the emails. Feels like you're getting 100 a day, you got 2. How many nice emails did he send you? So that's what I mean by it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.